Take the exit. Turn right into the drive-thru.
Nope, I'm making dinner tonight.
You don't have time. Josh has practice.
Oh, that's right. I'll just get a salad.
And fries?
No, just the salad.
But salad cancels fries.
Salad only.
Fries.
Salad.
Fries.
Food noise isn't fair, but Mochi Health is. The affordable GLP-1 source that puts you on the road to successful weight loss.
Hey, can I get the...
Fries.
Salad. Sorry.
Learn more at joinmochi.com. Mochi members have access to licensed physicians and nutritionists. Results may vary.
You know that thing where you get an amazing pair of shoes at a really great price and want to tell everyone about it? Yeah, so do we. Here at Designer Shoe Warehouse, we'll give you something to brag about, like the latest styles from brands you love, or the trends everyone's obsessing over, or shoes that make you feel like, well, you. So go ahead, show off a little. Find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. Head to your DSW store or DSW.com today. DSW, let us surprise you.
Voices for Justice is a podcast that uses adult language and discusses sensitive and potentially triggering topics, including violence, abuse, and murder. This podcast may not be appropriate for younger audiences. All parties are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Some names have been changed or omitted per their request or for safety purposes. Listener discretion is advised. My name is Sarah Turney, and this is Voices for Justice. Last time on Voices for Justice, we discussed Alissa reporting having sex with our father to his new girlfriend, and a call to Child Protective Services that elicited some pretty bizarre reactions from our father. We explored an essay in which our father names the electrical union as the target of a violent plan he was concocting, and I left you with our cousin David finding something in our home that would haunt him for the rest of his life. In this part of the episode, we will continue to explore the years leading up to Alissa's disappearance, including a major incident that I believe is vital to this story. But right now, we're going to pick up right where we left off in part 1 with my cousin David.
I was sleeping on the couch, and I remember your dad had like a whole ton of videotapes. And I came home, I was working at Sam's Club at the time. I had different hours, and I came home, and your dad had like hundreds of videotapes. I mean, and they were, tapes that they were on blank tape, but they had different, videos on them, like Dr. Doolittle or whatever. Going through the videotapes, and I saw this Dr. Doolittle tape, and I said, okay, cool. And I put it on. I remember seeing like the kitchen, or like I don't know if it's kitchen or like a dining, or not a dining area, but like a den. It was like, it was familiar to me. I remember seeing it. And the next thing I see is the camera pan, and then there was a couch right there, and there was nothing on the couch, and then all of a sudden the image stopped, and then there was a girl, appeared on the couch. And there was a girl with long, straight blonde hair, not real long, but, like size, the length of your sister's hair, Alyssa's hair. And she had, she was nude, she had no shirt on, but she had shorts on, and she was laying on the couch, but her arms were on the side, but she had a newspaper, that was covering her eyes, but you could see clearly her nose and the top of her head, but you still see her hair, but it was covering her eyes, but you could see her nose and her mouth and her jaw, and I already knew, it was obviously Alissa. You could tell by the profile that was her, it was, and I was like totally shocked, thinking, what the, F is going on here? And, she was nude. It was, and I'm like, oh my God. And it was just totally eerily quiet in the video. That's all I remember, was so eerily quiet. And, and I just started, I went, fast forwarded, and then there was another scene where there was this girl, another girl, and she looked like this friend of Alyssa's, I remember, just like her. I remember, I don't remember her name to save my life, but she had, brunette hair, and it was sort of semi-curly, not curly, but, like wavy or whatever. And she was well developed, you know, for a kid that age. I mean, because she was just a kid, you know, just like Alissa was, you know, a baby, you know, but well developed. And same circumstance. She was nude atop, but she had a magazine over her eyes, and you know, her nose was exposed, and her jaw and her mouth, and she had a pair of shorts on, and she was laying, you know, on the couch, and her arms were on her side, and you know, then I knew that was her friend. It had to have been because the only person I could think it was, and again, it was really quiet, and I had enough. I stopped the tape, and I left the tape in the VCR. I remember doing that. I didn't know what, you know, to do. All I remember is what I did was I got your brother's car, took off, and that was it. I didn't call your dad. I didn't say anything to your dad. In fact, I didn't show up till your guy's place till like 3 days later. I just I went into your nobody was home. Your dad was laying in bed, and I couldn't even look your dad in the eye. And I went in there, and I surprised your dad was scared because you're laying in bed, and I took the key, and I said, "Here's your key." I said, "I have to leave." And I couldn't even get all my stuff. I remember that. And I had left. And I called Nanny and Norma. I was telling Nanny what I saw and found. I didn't know what to do. You know, I was, you know, I wanted to, you know, I was hoping that maybe they would call, you know, your dad and find out what's going on, you know, and you know, I didn't want to rat him out to CPS, and I should have done that. I hate myself for not doing that. I really do, and to this day, I hate myself for not doing that because, you know, this all probably could have been prevented. Maybe, you know, all of this, if I would have stepped up and done something, and I hate myself for not doing that. You know, and I told Aunt Norma, Nanny was upset about it, and she didn't want to talk too much about it with me, but Norma and I talked about it quite a bit on the phone, and she told me straight up that they had both thought that your dad was doing something inappropriate with Alissa, you know.
Wait, that they did think that?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do. I was hoping that maybe they would call CPS, you know, and I just wish to God I did something, you know, but, you know, and the next thing I know, you know, I was living with my brother, and I couldn't face your dad after that or call him. I couldn't do it. You know, it broke my heart, you know, and what broke my heart worse was the fact that I you know, you know, being a cop too, I was in law enforcement, you know, I was a cop in the Army. I was also a cop, you know, briefly on the outside, you know, and I knew what to do and not to do. And I didn't do it all because of the attorney name.
Unfortunately, this videotape was never recovered, and no other witnesses were present to view it. But when I spoke with my Uncle James, we talked about David's story, and he told me that he was aware of this incident and remembers hearing about how David called our aunt and grandmother to report it. And my Uncle James even says he remembers hearing about another tape featuring Alissa having sex with our father and another adult female. And according to David and our Uncle James, when David reported what he found, our aunt and grandmother were not shocked, but more concerned that the family secret was finally going to be let out. In addition to these alleged tapes, it appears that our father was also hiding video cameras in some pretty intimate spaces in our home. In fact, when I started interviewing people that knew Alissa, I seemed to be the only one who didn't know how common and invasive the videotaping of her had become. Eventually, I would find out about a hidden camera in our vent in the living room used to spy on Alissa when she got older, but apparently the cameras were in the vents all along, and there were more than I thought. Alyssa's friends and even Mrs. Boardman talk about the cameras, and my mother's best friend Linda confirms it too. And I found out yesterday that Alissa knew about the camera in the vent too. So she
knew about all the cameras.
Yeah. Were there more?
Yeah, there was camera in the vent, there was camera in the bedroom, there was a camera in the kitchen area.
See, her friend told me yesterday that Alissa thought that there was a camera in her bedroom, but I hadn't heard that until yesterday.
It was in the vent.
In addition to all these witnesses who remember the cameras in the vents, I actually have a statement directly from our father that was recovered from a phone call with the police. He says, quote, "With Alissa, I went too far. I was monitoring phone calls. I had some cameras in the ducts, in our living room and things, and that was probably going too far." As Alissa and I started getting older, everything started to get more intense. There were more arguments, more yelling, more doors slamming. So I stayed away. I locked myself in my room. I listened to music, I was reading, I was watching scary movies, anything to get my mind off of them fighting. But because I stayed away, I saw very little from this time. And unfortunately, Alissa didn't confide anything in me. So again, I called on Alissa's friends to fill in the gaps. In this part of the episode, you will hear from a new witness and one of Alissa's best friends, Charity. Charity and Alissa met in 1999 when Alissa was in 9th grade. Here's Charity talking about what she remembers from this time.
I met her at the party, and of course I remember her being very just open and outgoing, and I want to say that she wanted to stay that night.
Hi, want to be best friends?
Hi, want to be best friends. And that's exactly what it felt like. And actually, it was a little off-putting for me at first, because she came around and she stayed the night and it was okay. But then she would be like, "Can I stay the night again?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, okay." And then she'd be like, "Can I stay a night again?" And at first it felt like, "Wow, don't you want to go home?" Because I used to think how, I could not stand to be away from home for too long myself, just to be in your own bed.
I was that way too, yeah.
Yeah, for the simple fact of just being in your own bed. But she always wanted to be around, and eventually she just really, truly grew on me. She was wonderful. She was so sweet, so funny. Like, I don't think there was ever a time where we weren't just laughing constantly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I met her at a party, and the rest was history.
I mean, did Alissa ever talk about the surveillance to you, or how she felt? I mean, you said that she felt watched.
She felt watched. She felt like there wasn't much that she could do that, he wouldn't find out. She would do things like she wouldn't keep her letters because she wouldn't want him to find them in her room. She wouldn't have conversations on the phone because she would be afraid that, he would hear whatever was happening in that conversation. So we hardly ever talked on the phone.
Yeah.
For any length of time about it, anything important to us at the time. It may have been just like, "Hey, what are you wearing tomorrow?" Something like that, but never would have any conversations on the phone. And she did talk about having cameras in the vents.
So she knew.
She knew.
Okay.
And she even believed that he had one in her bedroom vent at a point. She totally knew about all of that. She did talk about that a lot. She talked about how, she didn't feel comfortable at home or able to have a conversation on the phone. Think of yourself as a 16-year-old kid or, 15, 16 through all that time, and just not be able to call your friends and have the most ridiculous conversations about the stupidest stuff, because that's just, what you do.
Yeah. Well, she had no outlet,
Right. She had no way to, connect with her peers, the people that help you deal with, all the lessons you're learning as you're growing up. And, you might be making some stupid choices, and your friend might be on the other line going, "Yeah, your dad's dumb," but you need that. You need that type of interaction with your peers. It's part of growing up. It's part of, how a teenager copes. And she really didn't have that. She didn't have the ability to, get on the phone and just talk to anybody about whatever she was going through.
When I spoke with Charity, I specifically asked her about Alissa's behavior. And like all of Alissa's other friends would state, Charity confirmed that Alissa's behavior in no way warranted any of our father's controlling behavior, When I asked Charity what her and Alissa would do when they were together, she said it was just the typical teenage stuff.
You know, she would ask for permission to do the normal things that we were all doing to, you know, whatever, go to the mall, go to the movies. You know, we weren't trying to do anything crazy, really. Like, you know, we smoked a little bit of pot. We, you know, went to the mall once in a while. You know, we hung out with friends. We walked around the neighborhood. Like, we didn't do anything, and there wasn't really anything for us to need permission for. What was just odd about her rules is just the restrictions that she had on who she could be around, you know, the ways that she could communicate with them privately.
Which back then there weren't a lot of ways.
No, you wrote letters, you maybe had a beeper, and you saw each other at school or, you know, in the neighborhood. Even at our ages then, you know, probably 15 and 16, we weren't really getting into any kind of trouble besides maybe smoking a little bit of pot.
Yeah, it wasn't piercings, it wasn't tattoos, it wasn't fake IDs, it wasn't obviously we're not robbing liquor stores. Like,
yeah, we're not trying to, you know, break into clubs, you know, underage. We're not trying to do anything besides hang around the house, watching funny movies, scary movies, whatever, and, you know, just being each other's company.
Despite things seeming like a pretty normal relationship between Alissa and Charity, our father did not like them spending time together. In fact, he disapproved of it so much that he even drafted a contract. This one for Charity's parents in order for Alissa to attend Charity's birthday party. For privacy purposes, I'm omitting their last name. The police report reads, this is a one-page, unsigned contract referencing Alissa Turney attending a birthday party at Charity's house. It is dated for July 18th, 1999. It reads, regarding the parents of Charity providing continuous adult supervision from Saturday, July 18th, 1999 until July 19th, 1999, at approximately 2 p.m. during their daughter's birthday party to ensure Alissa M. Turney will be in an alcohol, drug, and sex-free environment. I, blank, will provide the following environment for Alissa M. Turney during the period of time she is under my supervision. 1. No alcoholic beverages. 2. No illegal drugs, substances, etc. 3. No male children, young adults, and or adult males other than the parents will be permitted to sleep over. 4. No sexual contact will be allowed during this party. 5. Alissa M. Turney will not be permitted to leave the premises with anyone other than her father, Michael R. Turney. 6. The following people will not be at this party. And then my father lists 4 of Alissa's classmates. He ends the contract with, I have read the following above information and agree to these conditions to protect the general health and welfare of Alissa M. Turney, the daughter of Michael R. Turney. Like Charity mentioned earlier, Alissa and her got around our father's surveillance by writing each other letters. And while it appears that Alissa didn't keep any of these letters in fear of our father discovering them, Charity did. This one is from Alissa to Charity and dated October 26th, 1999, making Alissa only 15 at this time. Hey, Charity. Yesterday, me and my dad got in a big fight. He told me if I didn't want to live here, to pack my shit and leave. I was like, I don't have anywhere to go. He was giving me a huge lecture about how much of a dickhead my brother is, when my dad's the dickhead. How's your day? Mine sucks. My dad wouldn't even talk to me this morning. He said he doesn't know why he even takes me to school anymore. Love always, Alissa. Although I tried my best to hide from any confrontation between Alissa and my father, even I remember their relationship being like a roller coaster. One day they were fine, one day it was all-out war. And Charity remembers it too.
That was one of the things that really stood out for me over the years that I remember pretty clearly. How in one breath, you know, she would tell me these things that were going on and the ways that he would make her feel. And, you know, it would be really terrible. Like, you know, I would just feel so awful for her. And in the next breath, she would be like, we're going to Disneyland. You know, my dad's so cool. He's so awesome. You know, do you want anything? He'll let me get anything. He always lets me get anything. anything I want. And then in the next breath again, it'll be like, oh God, he thinks I'm so stupid. And, he just doesn't think I can do anything. And then in the next breath, we're going to the mall today,
Yeah.
and I think I'm going to get X, Y, and Z. And, my dad's so awesome.
And as always, it gets worse. In another letter from Alissa to Charity, Alissa discusses what I believe to be our father manipulating her. In the letter, Alissa references our oldest brother Rhett living with us for a few months between 1999 and 2000. Apparently, after he moved out, our father lied to Alissa and told her that Rhett called Child Protective Services based on something she said. And then, of course, he demanded to know what Alissa told Rhett, which, we will find out, was a lot. But Alissa knows our father is lying and writes about it in her letter. Hey Charity, what's up? Not much here. Okay, this is what happened. My dad told me that my brother called CPS on us and that he had a tape recording saying all this shit I didn't say. So my dad told me to tell him all the stuff me and my brother talked about and did when he was living with us. I told my dad a couple of things we'd talked about. That was on our way home from school. But when we did get home, he said my brother and him talked about all this stuff before he moved out. And something in my head just clicked. My brother would never say anything to my dad about what me and him talked about. So today my dad said he had a meeting to go about this whole thing, and if my brother had the tape, they would take me away from my family. And he said, I'm sorry, I love you if anything does happen. This is all some stupid shit my dad made up, I know it. But he was also saying, if he clears all this up for me, what am I going to do to repay him? He said that they had 3 things that my brother had on tape, but he couldn't remember all 3. That's so not like my dad. He would remember everything. He said that my brother told him that me, my dad, and my sister all sleep in my dad's bed at night. That's so not true. I sleep in my bed every night. My brother wouldn't say that about me. I know him too well. So that's my whole bullshit story that sucks real ass. Don't tell anyone, please. Love, Alissa. And Charity, best friends forever. I'm pretty sure I know exactly what our father was afraid of Alissa telling our brother Rhett. On May 19th, 2000, the last day of Alissa's sophomore year in high school, our father and Alissa were driving alone in North Phoenix. And like our father had done with our mother and his ex-girlfriend, he exited the freeway and pulled into an isolated desert area. And then, our father attempted to sexually assault Alissa. And as it turns out, Alissa did tell our brother Rhett. His interview with the police reads, Rhett was asked about Alissa's reaction or behavior when she divulged the May 2000 incident. Alissa remained calm, but informed Rhett that she had fled from the truck upon returning home. Alissa may have contacted a male neighbor who asked if everything was okay. According to Rhett, Michael Roy Turney went over to Alissa and the neighbor and intimidated the two of them. Alissa went home with Michael Roy Turney. The neighbor has not been identified. Rhett added that, quote, I get a shiver up my spine sometimes because I've seen him fight some of the biggest men in the world. Rhett was asked if his father scares him, and Rhett replied, quote, oh yes, definitely, 100%. When Alissa and our father returned home, Alissa demanded to go live with our brother Mike for the summer. And despite our father's tight grasp on her, he let her go. But before he did, he made her sign the following contract dated for the same day as the incident. It reads, I, Alissa Turney, of my own free will and without promise of favor and or under threat of any kind, do swear that the following is the truth and absolute truth about the following. 1. My father, Mike Turney, has never physically or sexually abused me at any time. 2. My father, Mike Turney, has never given me or allowed me to use marijuana. 3. My father, Mike Turney, has never given me or allowed me to use any drugs not prescribed to me by a doctor. 4. My father, Mike Turney, has never allowed me to physically or sexually abuse my younger sister, Sarah Turney. 5. I have never engaged in any sexual intercourse. 6. I have never engaged in any bisexual activities. 7. I have never engaged in sexual activities with any person younger than me. 8. I have never taken LSD. 9. I have never taken cocaine. 10. I have never engaged in oral sex. 11. I have never taken any street drug that is illegal. 12. I have never seen my father sexually or physically abuse my sister, Sarah Turney. 13. I have never seen my father, Mike Turney, physically or sexually abuse any of his children. 14. My father, Mike Turney, has never given me anything to hide my use of marijuana. 15. My father, Mike Turney, took immediate action to stop me from having and/or using marijuana when he discovered it. 16. My father, Mike Turney, has discouraged and counseled me not to engage in any sexual activities with any person underage again. I swear the following is the truth and do so of my own free will, this of 5/19, the year of 2000. And it is signed, Alissa Turney. With the contract signed, Alissa was off to live with our brother Mike for the summer. But this story is just getting started. When I saw all of the documents related to my father's reaction to this incident, I was stunned. And the following series of events can only be described as our father fully freaking out about this situation and the possibility of him being in trouble for what he did to Alissa. I'm about to read a lot of police documents, but pay attention, because each item I'm about to present includes conflicting details presented by our father, as well as his very inappropriate reactions to this incident. I put these in chronological order so you can see his story evolve as he retells the story of why his daughter isn't at home. 3 days after the incident and after having Alissa sign that contract on May 22nd, 2000, $2,000 is withdrawn from Alissa's bank account, and the slip is signed by our father. And on the same day, our father makes a call to Child Protective Services. Quote, Alissa Turney, 16, and Sarah Turney, 11, live with their father, Michael Turney. Michael is the adoptive father of Alissa and biological father of Sarah. Barbara Turney, the biological mother of both girls, died in 1993. Alissa and father got into an argument on May 19, 2000, because she wanted to go to a party, and father would not allow it. Alissa threatened father, saying she would call CPS and say father was molesting her if he did not allow her to attend the party. Alissa has also argued about wanting to get her tongue pierced, to get a tattoo, and to drive the family car. Alissa told father she hates the lifestyle that he and Sarah lead because they are boring. Mike Turney would like Alissa's threats to call CPS noted. No report is taken as there is no allegation of abuse or neglect. And the following day, on May 23, 2000, our father drafts up another contract. Quote, this is an apparent 2-page notarized contract which is dated 5/23/2000. It is signed by Michael Turney, Michael Seth Turney, and a public notary. There is a line for Alissa Turney to sign, but the words "no identification" are handwritten on that line. There appear to be 13 points, which all have the initials AT signed next to each one. The following is the contract. This is an agreement entered between Michael R. Turney, the current legal guardian of Alissa M. Turney, and Alissa M. Turney in order to transfer temporary guardianship of Alissa M. Turney to Michael Seth Turney for the specified time in the temporary guardianship of minor child. It is further agreed that all parties enter into this agreement of free will with the understanding of the following issues. 1. That Alissa M. Turney is incorrigible and has refused to return home under the direct authority of her parent, Michael R. Turney. 2. That Michael S. Turney has agreed to assume temporary custody of Alissa M. Turney to allow her time to be away from her father and sister, whereupon she will follow any and all instructions given by Michael S. Turney or forfeit this privilege. 3. That it is understood at this time that her reasons for not returning to the home of her father, Michael R. Turney, immediately are not for any of the following. A. Physical abuse. B. Alcohol abuse. C. Drug abuse. D. Sexual abuse. E. neglect. F, lack of proper housing. G, lack of food. H, lack of clean housing. I, physical abuse of her sister Sarah Turney. J, sexual abuse of her sister Sarah Turney. 4, that prior to returning to her home, she will specify to Michael R. Turney the specific reasons why she chose not to return home, but to go with Michael S. Turney, her brother, on May 19, 2000. 5, that she will apologize to her father and sister for her wrongful conduct and insults directed at them. 6, that she will never again use physical force on her sister, Sarah Turney. 7, that she will follow any and all instructions by her father, Michael R. Turney. 8, that she will no longer allow any other friends' parents to influence her to leave home to live with them. 9, that she will never use marijuana again while living with her father, Michael R. Turney. 10, that she will never bring a male friend into the home of her father, Michael R. Turney, without his consent. 11, that she will discontinue any bisexual ideologies and/or acts while living with her father, Michael R. Turney. 12, that any and all male friends she associates with in an exchange of any sort of affection between a boyfriend/girlfriend relationship will be as old in age as she and/or older, but not older than 18 years old. 13, that I, Alissa, will enter a drug rehab program and/or outpatient counseling for the same. Alissa M. Turney will further agree to not harass, intimidate, or threaten Michael R. Turney and Sarah E. Turney and/or intervene with the parental rights of Michael R. Turney to educate and raise his daughter, Sarah E. Turney. It is completely understood by Alissa M. Turney and Michael S. Turney that Michael R. Turney, the father, remains the guardian of Alissa M. Turney, and that he may revoke any and all temporary arrangements at any time for any reason. Specifically, should Alissa M. Turney refuse to follow all instructions given by Michael S. Turney and/or any violation of the law, whereupon she will be surrendered into the custody of the state of Arizona, Maricopa County Juvenile Authorities, as being incorrigible. And on May 27th, with Alissa having been gone just about a week, our father writes Alissa a letter. The police report reviewing this letter reads, "This is a letter from Michael R. Turney to Alissa, dated May 27, 2000. It references the contract described above. It is 3 pages in length and talks about Michael's frustration with Alissa. He writes, I believe our agreement covered most of the problems we have had with you since you started high school. If you do not love me, I will not and cannot make you. If you choose not to respect me, I cannot and will not make you. However, according to the laws in the state of Arizona, I remain responsible and accountable for your well-being and safety, as well as any wrongful acts you commit. We have discussed this many times since last year's marijuana incident when you brought it into our home, which is something none of your 4 brothers ever did. In spite of that, we have had to endure many other drug-related problems, as well as those things you have initialed. You talked about the point when I told you I loved you and you did not respond with I love you. What is your point in wanting to emancipate or do your own thing, such as pierce and or tattoo all these different parts of your body to include your tongue? Take 17-year-old men into your room when I'm not home? Attempt to get your younger sister to do marijuana? Just because Charity's dad pierced his tongue or your brother Mike got tattoos when they were adults and you saw another student with them does not make it right for you at the age of 16. You only have less than 2 years before you turn 18. Then we can go our separate ways, just as John and I did. He further writes, I apologize for working you too hard this year and some of the methods I used to motivate you to do what you needed to do or not to do. Parents are not always right, and the world has never operated according to me. I believe you called them manipulation or mind games. One day, you may have children where you will be forced to compete with other adults for your children's love, safety, and well-being, just as I have had to against John and Charity's family. All parents use manipulation and mind games with their children. I am so sorry that you were afraid of me. I was attempting to maintain parental control without using physical force. It breaks my heart to think that this is what has happened. However, you have ventured into areas of life that are very wrong and or illegal. This will lead to ruin your life in the future. Near the end of the letter, Mike writes, I cannot promise you that anything will change when you come home unless you are willing to compromise on the same, except those things you read and initialed. You won't be made to apologize to Sarah or I if it causes you too much of a problem. I pray we do not have to turn to the authorities to resolve personal family problems, as John did. That will endanger you and Sarah's freedoms and right to live in our home. The authorities do not always make decisions that are best for everyone involved. I promise that I will not allow coercion to influence my decisions like it did in 1993 through 1996 by what John did.
This episode of Voices for Justice is sponsored by Chewy. If you have pets, you probably know about Chewy, and you also know that when they say that they have everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy, they're not messing around. To keep them happy, Chewy has over 100,000 products from all the brands my pets love at prices I love. To keep them healthy, Chewy offers pet prescriptions, pet insurance, telehealth vet visits, and they're even rolling out vet clinics across the country. I've been shopping with them for a very long time. And in addition to the auto-ship feature that gets the dog's food to them every single month, I also love to experiment with different treats. But I'm a bit picky. For me, it has to be high quality with simple ingredients. I recently picked up treats from Shepherd Boy Farms that are 100% just chicken breast. Popcorn and Heber are already obsessed. Chewy has everything you need to keep your pet happy and healthy. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order and get free shipping by going to chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. That's chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney to save $20 on your first order with free shipping. chewpanions.chewy.com/SarahETurney. Minimum purchase required. New customers only. Terms and conditions apply. See site for complete details. This episode of Voices for Justice is brought to you by Quince. I've been trying to be more intentional about what I wear each day. I'm leaning into pieces that feel effortless, comfortable, and still put together, and Quince has been my go-to. The fabrics feel elevated, the fits are flattering, and everything just works without overthinking it. They use premium materials like 100% European linen, organic cotton, and ultra-soft denim. And the best part? Everything is priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. They work directly with ethical factories and cut out the middlemen, so you're paying for quality and craftsmanship, not brand markup. I recently just ordered their tiered linen dress, of course in black. I wanted to pair it with one of my favorite pairs of brown wedges. The problem was, I didn't have a brown purse. So I got that from Quince too. It's one of my favorite outfits. It's easy, effortless, and feels amazing, especially as we're getting a little bit warmer here in Phoenix. Refresh your everyday with luxury you'll actually use. Head to quince.com/justice for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/justice for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/justice.
And 2 days later, on May 29th, our father writes another letter, this time to Child Protective Services. To whom it may concern, from 1993 until 1996, John Turney, my adopted son, used the threat of and/or actual false accusations through his out-of-state aunts to coerce and threaten me into allowing him to engage in illegal activities, such as drinking, drugs, and/or sexual acts. He was eventually banned from our home and given limited interaction with his sister, Alissa Turney, due to these acts. On May 19, 2000, Alissa learned that John Turney had moved into the apartment with my son, Michael S. Turney, of which I did not learn until after I had agreed to allow Alissa to stay with him. This was following her explosive and unwarranted behavior on the evening of May 19, 2000. Alissa is under a special education program called IEP for her learning disorders at Barry Goldwater High School. It has been a very difficult and hard year for both of us due to her constant need for academic assistance and parental guidance. Her parental guidance is constant, requiring continuous monitoring both at home and school with limitations on unsupervised activities. She continues to use any drug she can get, including my prescription drugs, when I fail to lock them up. We have had 5 drug incidents this year. She has continuously used physical force on her younger sister Sarah whenever Sarah failed or refused to do as she was told, or thought Sarah would tell me about her bringing marijuana into my home, or 2 17-year-old men when I was not home taking them into her locked bedroom. All of this has caused Sarah a great deal of problems. Alissa has been led to believe that she has the right to emancipate, which is the exact thing her brother did when he was 16. But when I refused, he began using his aunts and/or CPS as a threat of losing my daughters to get what he wanted. Alissa is presently under the temporary custody of my son, Michael S. Turney, until June 1st, 2000, or until I can attempt to get her into a drug rehab and/or counseling program and to voluntarily come home and abide by the rules. The events of May 19th, 2000 remain confusing, except Alissa threatening me with CPS in an attempt to get me to give her my truck, all because I was refusing to let her go with her friend's family to Rocky Point, Mexico. This friend is her bisexual partner, according to Alissa, who has been demanding sexual freedom and right of choice, even though she admits that she is not lesbian or gay. One of our most recent disputes pertains to her involvement with 7th grade boys pertaining to going out with them, which she admits to kissing and acts of petting. I contacted the City of Phoenix Police Department, but they advised me that I could file an incorrigible complaint where they would bring her home, but she would not be put into custody for the same. On May 19th, 2000, I was forced to physically take my weapon and truck keys back from Alissa in the middle of the street, but was unable to bring her back into my home. Neighbors assisted me to keep Alissa safe until my son, Michael S. Turney, arrived, who she agreed to go with. I'm not certain what drugs Alissa has used, but was attempting to have her take a drug test. She was continuing to refuse. Having been a police officer and living in the 1960s, I have witnessed people on hallucinogenic drugs. She was extremely paranoid and acting very emotional, which would not be something very unusual for her, but she was also talking about a frog on our doorstep and how it was after her. While I was removing it, she locked the front door and got the gun in the case. After I talked her into letting me in, I was attempting to get her to go to the hospital with me, which is when she freaked out running into the street. Since she has been with her brother, she has told me I just need time off. I gave her several days, then had her and my son read and agree to the current events, as well as the temporary custody documents. On May 27th, 2000, I went to my son's apartment to check on her welfare, only to witness her outside the apartment with an unidentified male sharing a burning cigarette-type object. When I contacted Alissa, who had requested not to talk to me for this period of time because she needed time off, she told me that she wanted her emancipation or she would call CPS. I asked her what she intended to tell CPS, and she told me there were many things, like a dirty house, my forcing her to stay at home and not allowing her to date, being bisexual, and doing things with her friends and other things if she had to. Although I know I have done nothing wrong, I remain afraid for Sarah and her right and need for me as her only living parent. I have been battling Alissa over her demands to be emancipated. I have called every juvenile agency and the police departments to learn that this is not possible in the state of Arizona. She can leave home, but I remain responsible. And should she get hurt or pregnant while I let her live away from me, I am civilly responsible and could be investigated for neglect, which could affect her sister's right of remaining with me. And it seems that our father just could not wait for a response to that letter, because the next day, on May 30th, he calls CPS again. The record reads, Father sent Alissa to live with her brother after Alissa and father got into an argument on 5/19/2000. Alissa threatened that she would call CPS if her father did not give her a truck. Alissa had also argued about wanting to get her tongue pierced, to get a tattoo, and drive the family car. Alissa is now saying that she is bisexual, and she can date whomever she wants. Alissa has told father that she hates the lifestyle he and Sarah lead because they are boring. Alissa wants to be emancipated. Alissa threatened to call CPS if father does not emancipate her. Alissa has a learning disability and is unable to comprehend that Arizona does not have emancipation. Mike Turney would like Alissa's threats to call CPS noted. No report taken as there is no allegation of abuse or neglect. Alissa has a learning disorder. Alissa uses marijuana and mushrooms. If these 7 insane different reactions were not enough, I'm going to read some transcripts of phone calls our father made about Alissa. First, to our brother Mike. This is the one that Alissa would be living with at this time. The police report reads, Side A has a series of recorded incoming and outgoing phone calls from the Turney household. Context of the calls indicate they are circa May 2000, when Alissa temporarily moved in with her brothers, John and Mike. The tape opens with Mike Turney calling an unknown female named Michelle. Mike wants to speak with John's ex-girlfriend, Kayla. From this conversation, Mike learns that John has moved in with his other son, Michael Seth. This fact seems to upset Mike, and the next conversation recorded is an incoming phone call from Michael Seth Turney to Michael Roy Turney. This conversation deals with Alissa in depth, and Michael Roy Turney appears to be emotionally agitated. The following is a transcript of the conversation as I heard it. Hello, Dad? Hey, son. Oh, I knew you was at work. Hate to call you. That's all right. What's up? You got Brandon's number? You know what? Their number got turned off. There's no way to get a hold of Brandon? Not right now. Why? What's up? I just need to talk to him, see what's going on with him and stuff. And, strangely enough, I just got a call from Kayla. Kayla? Yeah. About what? Nothing. She was just calling to see how I was doing, see how the girls were doing, see what was going on, and to warn me about something. Like what? Apparently, Alyssa's had some things in her mind here for a while. What's going on, Michael? You got any idea what's going on, Mike? No, Dad. Nothing's going on. I'm getting... What is this? Some kind of conspiracy again? With John and Alissa? Never mind. You're at work. I didn't call. Because I don't like this, Mike. This sucks. All I want to do is... If I'm serious about this, Mike, will you help me, please? All I want to do is get it set up so I can sign Alissa over to John. That's what she wants. That's what she wants. But they're not getting my truck. Don't sign her over to him, Dad. What's that? Just sign her over to me, Dad. Mike, you don't want to be involved with this. Please listen to me. You don't. Let me give her to John. You can stand there and watch over John. But Mike, please listen to me for once in your life about something. I'm dead serious, Mike. You don't understand what's going on. It's too late to stop it. The moment I went in and allowed Alissa to go with you, the moment she got involved with John, it's too late. And she'll conspire against you, so you better cover your back. The thing is, I'd just as soon sign her over, with stipulations that don't come back to bother me and Sarah. I think John will agree to that in a heartbeat. He would get the $560 a month for Alissa. That's fine. He could just take all that stuff, take all of her belongings, and go with it. I just don't want to be a part of it anymore, Mike. None of this is working. None of this is making sense to me. It's all looking at, why would Kayla call me? Why did she tell me John's been gone for 2 months? Dad, that's probably because he's been on and off living with his buddy, with Kayla's cousin. Whose cousin? What's his name? She's living with his cousin? No, John was living with Kayla's cousin, and now he just got back to your place? John's been with me for a while, like I said, on and off. Oh, he just now got to your place? No, he's been here. And how long? When did Alissa find that out? Friday, right? No, Alissa didn't tell me anything about John being there at all, because I told her that she does better without the influence of John, and she was doing a lot better. Anyway, forget all the rest of the stuff, Mike. Forget my paranoia. Forget, because things don't make any sense at all. I'm just asking John if he will allow to adopt Alissa. We'll go down there, I'll get my parental rights, wave them all away, but they're going to sign an agreement with me. A stipulation in there that Alissa has not been physically abused, sexually abused, she has not been mistreated in any way, and when they sign that, he's got her. And I've never given her any drugs. I wouldn't condone drugs. I've never given her marijuana. I've never allowed her to smoke marijuana. But she brought it into my house. Do you understand the stipulations, Mike? Yeah, Dad. I don't want Sarah bothered, okay? I want to let you know something. I've been getting a hold of James because James said he would take care of Sarah in a heartbeat, but he didn't want to take care of Alissa. You're right in the middle of it. I'm telling you, son, because I love you. You better watch it real close. Please. I've dealt with both of these people and I've tried to tell you, but you don't believe me half the time. I've tried to tell you what's been going on and you don't believe me. I don't care anymore. All I care about is Sarah, okay? There's too many things that went on, Mike, where Alissa freaked out. Believe me. I just went over there and got a statement from the guy across the street, what Alissa told him, because he has a daughter that's the same way. I've got 2 alternatives, Mike. Please don't discuss this with John or Alissa. You're my son. Keep it between me and you. I can either go down tomorrow and sign her in as incorrigible, and they'll take her to jail to cover my ass, or we can get this agreement signed up and get her out of here. It's gonna break Sarah's heart, and then I'm moving to Mexico. I've got the money, and I'm leaving, taking Sarah far away from this trash. She's not that kind of kid. You understand that, Mike? Yeah, Dad. Made up my mind, because this kind of shit is going to get ugly and nasty real quick. Let them know right up front when this is brought up that they're not getting my truck. They can threaten me all they want because I ain't done nothing wrong. Unless you've seen something. Have you seen something, Mike? Seen what? Any abuses of Alissa? Not that I know of, Dad. Do you mean that sincerely, Mike? What's that? Do you mean that sincerely? I haven't seen anything, Dad. I haven't. Other than the screaming and yelling at her. You've seen a lot of that, haven't you? Oh, yeah. All right, whether you agree with how to do it or whatever, that's fine. I just needed it to be done because you don't understand all the circumstances. You don't know. I just found some pictures. Just disgust me. I'm not going to discuss it with you because I'm going down tomorrow to cover me and Sarah's ass. In the meantime, you have a conference with John. Pull him off to the side. Alissa wants this anyway. That way she can get tattoos and ear piercings, eyes, no piercing, whatever. No, Dad, that's not going to happen. Well, then you stop it. I will, Dad. That's why you aren't going to sign her over to John. Mike, please listen to me. Dad, no, I'm listening to you, Dad, but if you sign her over to John, you're just signing off to become nothing, because John's a fuck-up, okay, Dad? And that's it. It's fine, Dad. Mike, would you please listen to me once? What are you going to do if Alissa accuses you of molesting her? What defense are you going to give him, Mike? Because there you're alone with her, and you're telling her, I'll kick your ass, you're not going to get your fucking way. I believe you, we've had these actual discussions. You're not getting your tongue pierced because Charity's dad has his tongue pierced. And if he has it pierced, that's why I wanted to curtail her away from these people, because they're just feeding her marijuana. I know what's going on. And Charity? I just found the pictures, Mike. You want to see them? Sarah found them, for God's sakes. Alissa had them stashed in a fucking bag. Alissa and Charity standing like you would kiss a girl, kissing each other's mouth. Mike, it's fucking disgusting. I'm trying to tell you, Mike, supervise all that you want, because I know you're a good man and want to do this because you love your sister and stuff. I'm just telling you, you don't understand everything here, Mike. If you need to know this, if you can work back through this and just get John control over stuff like that, just let her go, Mike, because she's going to do it anyway. You can't stop her. You think you're as good as I am, Mike? No, Dad. I've done everything, but Christ, did she tell you what the quad was about? Sarah didn't tell you, and if I want to spend money on it? And that's what, if I got her the quad, she would stop doing drugs. And that's the actual deal we made. And Friday, she was demanding that fucking truck. Now there's more demands. I'm telling you something. Please listen to me, Mike. If you've ever trusted me on anything, just let John take her. Please. You stay there with him, Mike. Do what you can. But please cover your ass, okay? You ain't like me, Mike. You're not as paranoid as I am. I got shit to cover my ass to a certain extent. I had her talk to 6 different people, including Dr. Matson, to discuss whether or not I had sexually abused her in any way, all of which she told these people no. I got documents to prove it, because I know sooner or later Alissa was going to do this. She hasn't done it yet, right? But she's going to do it sooner or later. John will egg her on. John thinks I owe him money. I don't owe him nothing, Mike. Nope. All right, Dad. You gotta go. She hasn't made these accusations yet, has she? Not that I know of, Dad. I got an interesting phone call a few minutes ago. Mike, you gotta go back to work, but I'm telling you, please do this nonchalantly. Say, John, I think it might be better if you took custody of Alissa. Then you stay there with him, Mike, and you watch best you can, because if you don't do what she says, Mike, she will accuse you in order to get it. She's already threatened me 12 times, and I have never backed down yet, Mike. That's what got her through school and kept her from getting in all kinds of trouble. You need to sit down and talk with him, Mike, and see what the fuck I got before you make a judgment on this thing. You don't understand, Michael, how bad this thing's been going, and I push her too hard. If we can do this thing smoothly, transfer over to John, there's no way to save her now. There's no way. I don't think she can do next year's high school. Please listen to me, please. I've got nothing to hide, Mike. If not, I've got to go down. I don't want Alissa to go in the system, because then she stands no chance, okay? I've already talked to a lawyer. He told me exactly what to do and how to cover it. I gave him $5,000 because I'm covering Sarah's ass and mine. I'm not losing Sarah over this shit. Not with those 2 fucking assholes. They conspired against me. Alissa was involved in that conspiracy too with CPS Mike years ago. Trust me, she wanted to help John. All right, Dad, well, I'll give you a call tomorrow. I gotta get back to work, okay? I'm sorry. All right, I love you. Would you help me get this paperwork out, please? I'll figure something out, Dad. You and James take care of Sarah. Trust me, Mike. Alyssa's not worth saving. Trust me, she's not. You're gonna get sick when you see the shit she's been doing, and she'll do it in front of you, eventually, or around you. Please listen to me. All right, Dad, the supervisor's walking by. Okay, I'm sorry, I love you. Love you too. Tell him it was an emergency. I was sick. All right, whatever. Okay? Bye.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
What they did to your family, you're lucky to make it out alive.
Streaming on Peacock.
These men are going to come after me. Taking them out is my only chance.
Put a bullet in her head.
From the co-creator of Ozark.
Looks like a family was running drugs.
Execution-style killing, it's rare for the keys. And it leads on who they might have been running for.
The cartel killed my family. I'm gonna kill them. All of them.
MIA. Streaming now. Only on Peacock.
The next recorded conversation is Mike calling the Phoenix Police Department and speaking to a dispatcher. The following is a transcript of the conversation as I heard it. Phoenix Police Department, this is Tammy. Can I help you? Yes, ma'am. Is there anybody I can speak to in reference to juvenile problems? When you have a problem with a juvenile with your kids? I'm confused. Anybody where? I mean, on duty or tomorrow morning would they be in? I've got a problem with a daughter. I mean, I've had quite a few problems with her. Do you just want to talk to somebody or do you want somebody out to your home? Well, I don't really want to file a report. She's with my other sons, you know. She's safe and secure, and that's what means the most to me. But I have concerns about other stuff that's been going on for quite a while, and I don't know who to go to. Do we have a juvenile people you can call at Maricopa County or something? We used to have it about 20 years ago if a child was just getting to where you couldn't control him anymore. They have a place called Juvenile Family Crisis Unit, sir. Wait, let me get my pen. I'm sorry, it sounds like the one I'm looking for. You know, it sounds like I'm whining, but there's such a thing as parent abuse, you know. There is, very much so. Well, you got a kid that's got a problem. We've been dealing with drugs now, on and off. It's been like most stupid parents, you know, got rid of it, covered it up, tried to do this or that. It just keeps occurring. Schools and problems. This kid has a learning disorder. You know, I've just gotten to a point, this last thing, and I'm not just going to sit here and have somebody try to extort things out of me. I mean, when I went through this with her older brother, right after their mother died, and CPS came to my house 4 times. Of course they found nothing, because there wasn't anything to find. And it was all unfounded. But it's not very comfortable feeling when this stuff starts up again, because somebody wants to get over and get tattoos, get their tongue pierced, go to drug parties, and whatever, have sex with some 50-year-old guy or whatever the hell it is. You say no, and I think it's kind of wrong to be threatened with this kind of garbage. So, whatever. Anyway, I just need somebody to talk to. But I'm 52 years old. I still got an 11-year-old, and one just turned 16. But there's a lot of stuff. Being an ex-deputy sheriff that I know, still has to be illegal what she's been doing, and I've been trying to talk to her and get her to go to a counselor and all that. But what do they call it? The sexual identity thing. She thinks she's bisexual or something. And I told her, well, you gotta go to counseling. Well, sir, I'm sure it's hard to be a girl without a mom when you get to that age. Well, I mean, it is to a certain extent, but this kid, the youngest one misses her because she was only 4 years of age. So this one's I've confronted teachers, I got you a psychiatrist, let her talk to, you know, she went to counseling and all that after her mother died because I was concerned. Only to find out that she was, what do you call it? When the schools say, the school said she had a learning disability. Really? That's unusual for girls to have it. It is. It's very unusual. But this, when I finally got to the school to test her, she's got one of the lowest scores. Now, this is what the man said. They wouldn't even let me look at him, but she's got one of the lowest scores in mathematics the guy said he'd ever seen. She's a sophomore now, and they reduced the Ames test after I threw a fit, down to where, if she took it, it was at the 5th grade math level. And I've worked with her and tutored her, but it's been a tough year. I've had to force her to do things. It's hard with these children, because they don't, you know, she doesn't really understand. I don't think she's evil by nature, but, you know, when a kid keeps doing things, marijuana is still a felony. Stealing prescription drugs, getting high and stuff. She's got a younger sister who's a good kid. She doesn't want to cause trouble. She's a smart kid. You know, and you keep looking at this stuff and you keep begging, you keep doing these things for her. But the last thing she pulled on me and this stuff and everything, I'm just at the end of my rope now. I have a depressive disorder. It was work-related. Has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that I bit off more than I could chew with the union thing. My first time, I raised these 3 boys and my wife ran off. I'm not an angel or a saint, but I'm not one to break the law, Just speeding tickets, that's all I've got. You gotta ask yourself, when's it time to go get help? I don't want her to go into the system. It's just... Sir, I don't know what I want to give you, but there's this hotline. It's going to be open Monday through Friday. Yeah, that's fine, but it used to be... I'm not going to call tonight. No, it's just I'm trying to feel things out here, but it used to be in the state that it was against the law to be incorrigible. Is that changed? Against the law to be incorrigible? Yeah. I know they go through the file in court. Some papers, they have to go through different programs. I know that happens. Oh, well, it was that we were taught, in one of the 2 states that was challenged several times by this, Arizona Supreme Court and stuff, they still upheld it. This is a state where a child becomes incorrigible under those statutes. Situation to parent, where they go to a facility, a parent has to put in a certain amount of money. Sir, I don't know anything about that. Okay, well, I'm sorry. Anyway, do you have that number? No, that's okay. I'm just talking off the top of my head. I'm just so stressed out about this. That's all right. Seems like you got a lot to talk about there. I've worked so hard, and I've got all of our teachers and all these people that'll come forth and say they've never seen a parent like this, one that was so devoted and worked so hard to get this kid through school. All right, sir, that number, it's going to be called the Juvenile Family Crisis Unit, okay? It's called what now? Juvenile Family Crisis Unit. Okay. You're not an officer? No, do you want a telephone number? I can give you a telephone number and you can talk to an officer tonight. Well, no, I don't really want to involve the cops at this point. Well, okay, sir, then I suggest you call that number on Monday. But I'm not going to be threatened. I'm an American. Nobody threatens me. I don't like that. She blew up because I wouldn't let her go to a party with a bunch of men. I wouldn't let her pierce her tongue. And what was the other thing? I don't know, some other crap she wanted to do. All right, sir, well, let me let you go, and you go ahead and call that number on Monday and see what they can do. Okay, thanks. You're welcome. Goodbye. But apparently, our father couldn't wait to call the hotline or was dissatisfied with Tammy's answers because after hanging up with this officer, he calls the Phoenix Police Department again. Phoenix Police Department, this is Patty. How may I help you? Yeah, Patty, is there an officer on duty? In reference to what, sir? For lack of better terms, a possible incorrigible child that, do you have a question as far as to how to handle it, sir? Or, yeah, how to handle it, what my rights are. Now the child is safe. It's supposed to be with my father. Oh, excuse me, my father. My 24-year-old son. Okay. I just have concerns. I'm starting to, about all this stuff coming down and think about all these things, and all of a sudden you got to thinking, now, wait a minute. I'm still responsible for this person, so, okay, sir, let me go ahead and transfer you to our information desk where there are officers that can help you. Police information, Officer McDaniel. Yeah, my name's Mike Turney. I was going to wait till the morning to call juvenile crisis, but I've been having a lot of trouble with a teenage daughter. Mm-hmm. It's been going on for a while, and everybody has, I guess I'm assuming anyway, the drugs and all the other stuff going on. This kid has special education needs, so I'm busting my butt on that kind of stuff. But this last 6 months has been really, really uncontrollable at times. And, it blew up on Friday. Can you hang on just a second, officer? Our father then places the officer on hold to accept a call from our brother Mike. Hello? Hey, Dad? I got stuck at work, sorry. No, that's fine, Mike. I didn't mean to bug you. I just need a straightforward answer because I went over and checked. Mike, is Alissa over at Charity's? No. You're sure of that? She's over at your place? Yeah, Dad. Because no one answered the phone. They don't answer the phone. Alyssa's not going to answer the phone. She told me she's not going to answer the phone. I'm going to go home in a few minutes. I'll give you a call from the house. Would you please, Mike? If she's over at Charity's, I just think Charity's having that bisexual affair with her. No, Dad, she's not at Charity's, and if she is, nah, I thought about it, Mike, and if you're willing to take custody of Alissa, I'm sorry, I'll just let you do it. But I want you to sign it all over so that the checks go into you and your name and everything else. Is that all right with you? That's fine, Dad. If you can save her until she's 18, that's fine, Mike. I can't deal with this anymore. I know, Dad. Okay, and you'll do that for me? I'll help you out, Dad. But you cover your butt, Michael, please. I will, Dad. Okay, I just want to get this thing over with, but I want to make sure that I don't have anything, 2 or 3 years down the line. Anyway, I gotta get off here. All right, Daddy. All right, I love you. Give me a call when you get home. All right, Dad. Bye. And then our father goes back to the call with Officer McDaniel. Officer McDaniel? Yeah. I'm sorry. Well, as parents, I used to, know some things years ago when I was a deputy sheriff. The old incorrigible and then the other junk. I don't know jack now. End up being a single parent, it just, it never dawned on me until about 6 months ago when my daughter started making these insinuations, accusations and things, trying to get me to do certain things, which I refused to go along with. I told her, no, this is not going to work. After your mother died, we went through this stuff. CPS came to the house four times because of the junk that your brother tried to do. And, I was cleared of all that stuff immediately because, it's not true, There have been so many arguments from her, especially in this last 6. Piercing of tongues, I don't know if you're familiar with this stuff. Maybe you got kids. No, don't have kids, but I know what you're talking about. It's just endless, that kind of stuff, I've tried to keep it because nobody wants the authorities to get involved. But the last one the other night, it's just, first off, I'm still going from shock because this kid has a real learning disorder. There's no question. But to demand my brand new Dodge truck and then make threats and say, why don't I call CPS? And then, well, go ahead and call him. What are you going to do? Have him come see the house? We've been through this before. What are you talking about now? And she said, well, I want to drive a truck next year. So anyway, I'm curious about, we had this whole mess where I'd have prescription drugs in the house. She got into those, there was a parent involved and some other kid. We discussed it and we decided it's better to break off the relationship because, again, it was my medication and my stupidity for not having it locked up. But now this kid, that doesn't read very well, she doesn't understand it unless someone told her what it was. It doesn't make any difference, I'm looking at something we used to call incorrigible years ago. Has that changed? No, we've still got it. This kid here, she's got disorders in mathematics, reading, and writing. There's not much left after that, But the school's been good. We've had some battles with the state, got our IEPs all set up and worked out with the schools, but this bisexual thing that keeps coming up. Some teachers have made accusations in junior high. Then the other day, my kids all know that I put a tape recorder on my phone, okay? And I'll always have it running. But they know I do that, they're all aware of it. And those conversations you really don't want to hear comes up. And she's telling some 13-year-old boy, and she's 16, telling him that she's bisexual. And I'm thinking, oh, God. So when you're trying to find out about this and you're telling her, not under my roof, darling, no booze, no drugs. And if you're going to do that, then you're going to have to find another place to live. Is that cruel? Is it being cruel? Is that being mean? Is that too... See, I don't know. Our modern society is so screwed up with all this crap coming down. But, I've got a gay son. And he never did anything whatsoever to think that he'd be bad about it. He's very modest about what he does. And I don't agree with it because I believe in God and Jesus Christ. And that's my business. I've been put through the gamut with all this. The female thing, I feel like it's just totally out of control. I got her through 2 years of high school. But this last fit, going over the truck... Then she wanted to go to some party with a bunch of males that are 18 and over, and I found out about that and cut it short, because they sent her directions and they wanted her to set up with some guy. But this bisexual thing, isn't that against the law for somebody to be involved with that kind of stuff underage? Nope. Is that considered incorrigible? Not really. Not really. Okay. Especially not in today's society, sir. That's right. That's the thing that's bugging me, because I didn't know. I thought if they involved themselves, isn't that, kind of illegal? No, you can't discriminate or hold someone's sexual preference against them anymore. Ah, well, everybody does it. That, never mind. That's another issue. Yep, I hear ya. They wouldn't hire my one son out in Tempe because he was gay, and I helped him on that one, I'm good at discrimination stuff. Well, the labor laws, that's what I do. But the incorrigible thing, that's what's got me worried, this threat that she's done something in the past. It's not the first time she's come up and stood her ground. And I said, call him. I ain't got nothing. You're full of it. I got 2 daughters sitting here, and it just don't happen. Being a single parent and a male, that old stepfather syndrome, every stepfather molest every child crap, that's a crock of shit. I'm letting her stay with her brother, and I've got this one family with, I think she's been having a bisexual affair with this other girl. Which, unfortunately, we were moving her bed because, I bought her a new bed and stuff. I bought them both new beds. And there were these little pictures, not lewd pictures, but girls kissing and, that kind of junk. So I'm just wondering, where do I stand in order to protect myself from my daughter? Because, I got nothing to fear from CPS, but, You know, sir, what you could do is call the Juvenile Crisis Center. Talk to one of the counselors there. Oh, yeah, they gave me the, because they can offer you a hell of a lot more options than I can to deal with this, sir. I don't want to throw it into a criminal act if I can, the system make a mess out of her more than she already is. Just hang on a second. Losing my phone. This is is that the Juvenile Crisis Center? I want to do this thing, I'm thinking about it. I got myself relaxed on this thing because one thing's about to start in the system and it's going to affect the other child, What was that number again? That's the main number, sir. 35th Avenue in Durango. That's where it's at. Okay, yeah, perfect. Sir, just ask to speak to one of the counselors. They're really good at that and they'll help you out. Is that it? So basically the bisexual thing is not a crime? Nope. If she runs off and doesn't come home or does drugs, that's a different story. Oh, okay, right. And, because those can all be documented and validated. Just hang on to your reports, sir. So, how do they prove them? Are they gonna blood test her or urine test her or what? Well, there again, sir, that's why I don't know. That's why you need to speak with them. Oh, okay, sorry, yeah. Yes, sir, we're the police. We don't handle any of that stuff. You see, I don't usually go to the cops. It's just this last time she's got me freaked out so bad, and she says I'm too strict on her, and how old is she, sir? 16? Yeah, 16. Well, sir, basically, it's just growing pains. It's a generation thing. Every generation goes through it. I remember when I was 16, It's just every generation goes through it. Yeah, it's just that she said she didn't want to be around me anymore. She hates her little sister, and she hates me, and I said, well, maybe you need to live somewhere else then. Sure. Sir, the grass is always greener on the other side. Let her go check it out. Because I've had 4 before this, and when it gets this way, I think it's time they leave. The other thing, too, she wanted me to give her a truck. I said, are you serious? Kiss my ass. No way. So anyway, I thought I'd just touch base, because I've never really thought about my rights. I've heard this stuff from her brother before and stuff. She called her aunts to call CPS 4 times. They even searched my house once. And I finally went down there and had a talk with them, and I said, listen, you know how this is ridiculous. You ain't found a damn thing in 4 trips, and you ain't gonna find anything. You talk to my daughters. This is garbage. My wife just died. I don't need this. So they stopped, It's amazing how our society is. People who take these kids, I've had a lot of problems with the same kid. I knew the woman for about 2 years, and then her friend, her daughter and my daughter were friends, but they vouched for this one babysitter, and this woman was giving my daughter pot. And no one in the police would take a complaint on that. Can you believe that? Yep. I just told myself, why can't you take the complaint? Because it's not something you can prove? So I said, that's just terrible. I want to make sure, I don't want somebody coming in my door and saying, you got the other one running the streets and you're not taking care of the other one. No, sir, they don't do that. Like I said, just call out there tomorrow, talk to one of the counselors, and they'll be able to help you. Okay, all right. Well, thank you, officer. I really appreciate it.
This episode is brought to you by Perfect Bistro Cat Food. Hey guys, today I'm interviewing my cat about his perfect bistro food. Percy, you seem to be a big Perfect Bistro fan. Care to comment? Totally. What do you like about it? You love the high-quality ingredients? And the delicious flavors, of course. Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Listen to Percy, guys. Visit perfectbistro.com to try it for your cat.
It appears that the last action our father took about these accusations was on June 1st, when our father writes a letter to Alissa's school to inform them that she will not be returning for the next year. This is a letter dated June 1st, 2000, from Mike Turney to Cheryl Ingram, principal of Barry Goldwater High School. Mike withdraws his request for Alissa to attend the school, writing, "My request is not based on any failure of your staff or meant to discredit the excellent school year that passed. It is based on events and people that Alissa has arrogantly and defiantly told me about that occurred this past school year. Alissa chose to use threats of calling CPS with false accusations to get the emancipation she's been demanding all year. This is following her friend Charity's family convincing her that she would be better off living with them. Alissa has told me about her alleged use of marijuana, sexual acts, both bisexual and opposite sexual, and most recent acts of aggression to intimidate other students on campus. This is all because I would not let her date and/or go to unsupervised parties. Please note that the special needs of Alissa do not end with academics. However, she has been convinced by these people that she needs neither and has a right to do all of the above without consequences. Last year, I managed to separate Alissa from her friend Leanne because they were buying marijuana together on campus. Perhaps my restricting Alissa to family and or supervised activities has caused this. However, she ran away from home after I intervened with the alcohol, drugs, and sex party she and her friend Charity attempted to deceive me into letting her go to on the last day of school. That night, she went into a hallucinogenic state, demanding to go live with her brother. This may have been due to her experimenting with something she called shrooms or mushrooms. However, she's refused to go to all counseling. Later in the letter, Mike writes, Alissa appears to be more interested with all of the bad things I warned her about that occur on high school campuses, such as drugs, sex, and hanging out with troublemakers. I believe Mrs. McCarthy warned me about 3 students Alissa was hanging out with. I failed in discouraging her from one and keeping her away. This student and her parents have convinced Alissa that I am mean to her and don't appreciate her as they would. This is where I now believe the source of Alissa's arrogant confession of marijuana usage, sexual activities, and acts of intimidation against other students on campus have been coming from. It is difficult for me to write this letter. I had hoped that by restricting her to her studies and her only friend Charity and their parents, that I could prevent Alissa from doing such things. It appears the academic area succeeded, but all else failed. Alissa ran away from home the night of the last day of school because I broke up a drug, alcohol, and adult male party she and her friend Charity had planned to go to. I will be buying a home either in Flagstaff, Arizona, or out of state in an attempt to move Alissa away from all of this, as she has refused any and all counseling and or guidance all year long, as we well know. I have never believed in running away as being the answer, but I have no other answer at this time. The summer would end, and Alissa would come home to our father. He never signed away his rights, he never fled with me to Mexico, and he never put Alissa in any type of counseling or moved us away. But instead, Alissa came home, and things only got so much worse for her. And despite our father clearly panicking over his attempted sexual assault on Alissa in the desert, it wouldn't be his last attempt. Next time on Voices for Justice.
I think that she was gaining her confidence. She was gaining her will to fight back. She was gaining her voice. And he could see that coming.
I was like, yes, she's finally going to come hang out and we can like be wild and crazy because it's graduation. And then we hugged and I said, I love you. She said, I love you. And she turns and walks away. I go the other way. And looking back, I remember feeling like something wasn't right. And that's really, really weird to think that I was one of the last people to see her alive.
But if he called before he even picked me up, that's huge. Voices for Justice is hosted, produced, and edited by me, Sarah Turney. If you want to learn more about Alissa's story and how you can help with the case, visit justiceforalissa.com. And if you love the show, it would really help if you gave me a rating and review in your podcast player. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you next time.